You can see the 60-floor tower here, and then a 25-story hotel there. And as you walk down the street, about 3/4 of the way down is our entry point. We'll walk through this door and I'll begin to show you what we're looking at. We're actually standing right underneath the stairway that will eventually go up, which is this beautiful, wonderful expression. This is a great example of Frank Gehry making an extremely dynamic yet practical space. You know, we need an X wide stairway in order to have this, you know, why many people come down. And that's sort of code and egress and all these things you learn when you're working on this sort of thing. And Frank takes all of that equation and then takes it and has a very particular point of view about it. This is where the structure goes in for the stairs. And the stairs, you'll come in this way, you'll come right around here, and you'll start your journey up. It's just a sense of activity and invitation. And as you look from the street and being able to see that activity up there, it creates a certain level of curiosity. In every direction you go, there's this sense of invitation. Okay, so we were just downstairs, so you come up here now to the second floor, and the stairs come right up to this section here, and then if you look over here, you'll see the elevator banks that take you up. So the whole idea is that the audiences and artists alike all come up to this area and then open up into this broader lobby. And what you see now are temporary construction offices, but this is a pretty good sized lobby that is sort of split up. I sort of view it into 3 different rooms, really. You've got over here kind of this concierge area. And then if you cut through this other side of these temporary offices, construction offices, this is where the heart of the cafe and the bookstore will live here. Right in here you can see the perspective of the bar. The light box will be above us, and then as you walk down over this direction, again, kind of another invitation to this wonderful bookstore that will be here. What's wonderful about this is there are display cases that come out here and really begin to pull this out into the room and create a room. And then that spills right out into a seated area with couches and chairs. And I view this as sort of an additional venue and a critical point for intersection between our audience and our artists. So that's why we've tried to create these invitations to them. Over here, you'll see the opening to our end stage, which is the largest of the 3 theaters is. 299 seats, an end stage, most like our Norton space now. This is a pretty compelling invitation, I think. As you come in here, this will be open pre-performance, and as across the way is a beautiful wall that Frank has designed, a plywood application, but used in a very interesting way, and it's sort of a puzzle piece that sticks very closely to the wall, and as it moves to the back of the room, becomes much more articulated. We want the theaters to be expressive. We want them to have something to say and a point of view, so that as you enter into the theater, you're having an experience even before the experience you have on the stage. You see the risers coming down here. There's a row on the floor. This is going to all be poured very soon and create a really inviting, wonderful auditorium, I think, with a very generous stage. A stage is roughly almost 40 feet deep and 60 feet wide, which if you think about most Broadway stages could fit inside this stage. So one of the key things you do when you sit down with somebody like Frank, who is such an extraordinary artist, it's really about investigating into the heart and the essence of the program. Every building that Frank has ever made has grown out of the program of the building. It's not the other way around. And so what we try to do in making the center is create not only the collisions within the front of house sorts of things like the audience, but back of house too. So this space and the Jewel Box share a green room. There's a rehearsal studio over here on this side of the building as well. So we've done that so that artists are sort of forced to connect with one another just sort of organically, that if someone is performing in this space and someone is in the Jewel Box, they're inevitably going to connect backstage. And then now we're passing down a corridor that takes us to the Courtyard space, which is right over here. Actually, the stairway you're looking at is heading up to the balcony of the Courtyard. Now, what's challenging about this space right now is that the hoist, which is really the outdoor elevator to bring materials up to the tower of the building while they're doing their construction, is going all through this space. So it's a very tough space to figure out, but this begins to give you the sense of it. And I'll just open this door for a second. You can kind of take a look in. So as you can see, this is just full of elevators. You can sort of begin to make out the balcony here along that edge there, but it's virtually impossible because of all the hoists. There are 5 different hoists in here, but this is going to be an extremely dynamic space, completely flexible. We have models of this in a 3/4 thrust. We have it in a 2-sided configuration. We've got it in an end stage, and then of course, like I said, flat floor. And pretty much if you can imagine it, you can do it in this room. And I love the balcony that wraps around here. It's a single row balcony, so those seats are flexible. And what I love about the balcony in here is that in this intimate room, you bring the eye up to that individual that's up in the balcony, so it allows the actor to have a more sort of expansive expression. Now we're at the far north side of the lobby. This is the rampway down to our theater 3, or what we call the Jewel Box Theater. There'll be a nice bar here. We'll have tables, we'll have furniture all set up here. And then this sort of takes you along to the back and in a smaller lobby here for the Jewel Box space. This space is an extremely intimate space that's designed with sort of a if you think of a European opera house shrunk down, you know, the opera houses are this sort of space we're used to seeing in this sort of expansive kind of room. The room would usually have at least 1,000 seats in it, and it's maybe a couple other tiers of balconies. This room has 1 balcony. It seats 191 people. It has a full fly tower. It has all the things that other space has, except it's been shrunk down to this incredibly dynamic space. All the architecture is in conversation with the people that are in the room. It's when people occupy the room that the balance of the room comes into place. In this kind of space where it's taking a traditional, at least a more traditional sort of framework, is having a different kind of dialogue and discussion with the audience. And it's taking the experience that we're used to and kicking it up several notches and creating this heightened space that I think builds a sense of anticipation of the event. I think the rooms should express that anticipation and should call for it, should call for that kind of level of activity, for everyone to be at the top of their game, whether you're an audience member, whether you're producing the material, whether you're on the stage speaking the words. We wanted to create a sense of scale and dynamics, but do that in a way that was dished up in sort of very intimate bites. And the goal with that is to create a scale that is accessible for all participants. So as an actor on the stage, you're experiencing the audience in a very intimate way, and vice versa. So as an audience member, you sit in that seat, you know that you are an integral part of the experience there. It's something that's felt. You don't need to intellectually discuss it or talk about it. It's just something that you feel essential toward and to. And that's about honoring the participation of all in the process of making theater. That's what this center is really about.